Hello, this is Alex here from bodyconditioningwellness.com. I just want to give you a little introduction to the podcast you're about to hear, which is some feedback from my members on this special form of body conditioning. This special form of body conditioning goes back 4,000 years and is so suitable for people over 30, over 50, because it really involves nothing more than some walking drills, special forms of stretching, which is creating opposing directions in our body, opposing forces in our body. And this in turn affects our fascia. And we're learning to move our body in a whole other way, where we're using our major muscles first. Like I said, this knowledge is based on 4,000-year-old knowledge. And this is what the generals used, the questions they were posed many thousands of years ago is how do they get an army across the territory and be fit to fight at the end of it? And this knowledge encompasses all of that in this body conditioning. Here we have an example of somebody using it within jiu-jitsu, but it's not just meant for martial arts. This is meant for normal daily life because it increases your lung function, your breathing capacity. It makes you immensely strong. It reduces the risk of injuries because you're totally connected. You don't sort of pull your neck and relying on other joints in your body. There's so much to this, and yet the exercises themselves are so easy to do. It's just about doing them every day. Very simple exercises. Anyhow, I won't keep you anymore. And let's hear from Mark and Ginny, two of my members. Thank you.
As you say, even you know, I would always say, it doesn't have to be anything martial artsy for to help people in their daily lives. I mean, you're saying about the jam jar. I've seen the garage door was a bit stiff the other day, and normally I'd be hauling at it, but just a wee kind of, like you say, we kind of roll and a pop into my back, and the door kind of popped open a lot easier than I thought.
Yeah. I've been doing gardening this weekend, and I've even made a video about it. But I'm doing the same thing this weekend. Is just pulling all the weeds out and stuff. But you just grab hold, and I just go a little bit back. I've taken the slack away, and then I just let my body do it. I either go into my back or my legs just pull. But I'm not doing anything here. This, you know, I didn't get any pain all day long. Where normally, you know, I haven't done gardening. It's been really awful weather here until just recently.
Yeah,
challenge to get out. So
Alex, getting back to the jar. So you went into your lower back or your Ming Ming. What did you do to pull it out so it's nice and easy? Because if there's one thing I have a hard time with is opening up those jars. That's for sure. I'm always popping it with a knife or something because there's nobody here to help me. So how do we do it?
It's nothing to do with the Ming Min. If you think of the chest and the trapezius on the back, the triangular muscle that goes over in between your scapula, it's these two muscles that are doing most of our bowing and unbowing in the back. And then of course we go into the lower back. But so if you had a jam jar, if I then imagine I take away the slack, so I've gone into my elbows, I've pulled silk into my elbows, I've taken away the slack, and I've gone into the jam jar. And then all I'm thinking I'm doing is I'm opening my quad, which is really my back muscles. Well, my back muscle is doing the work. My trapezius has caused my, my quads to open. And that's what opened it, you know. Okay. So it's just that, nothing to do with the arms. I completely relaxed. This was all, you know, I hadn't. And like I say, you're so shocked because you're using a massive muscle to do a task we normally do with our fingers and wrists and which are much smaller. So you bring your back into it. Think it's like it's effortless.
Okay.
As an example, yeah. But you know, in time, I'm looking to do many fun videos and maybe get them from members too of how they use body conditioning in normal daily life. You know, just how tips and tricks, or you know, things that how they found they've used it. I mean, I used with carrying, obviously, all the time, just physical work. I can just carry a lot more. And sometimes, you know, I mean, I remember the story with, I think I told you, we had a huge TV that we threw out. This TV went with our family for a few, seemed like decades. It was a massive TV, about one of those huge, like big as a building, this TV. I hated this thing. Everywhere we moved, we're going to leave the TV. No, that's coming. And this thing was just hell on wheels there was no proper way to grab it. Everything, there was a bit of plastic that stuck out that gouged into your hands and fingers, you know, and somehow I never managed to drop it. And then this last time when we finally went to throw it away, last year or something, you know, I didn't have anyone that could help. And I thought, well, I can't do it. There's no way. I've battled with this thing before. It needs 2-3 people. And I thought, well, I'll just try. And it just felt like, it was so light. It was dunk. Oh, okay, it's fine, open the door. Off I went, you know, and threw it in the trash, you know. It's mad, you know. It really is worth it. So one thing is that you get this power, strength, and then the cleverness of it, especially in terms of, even if in normal daily life, because you don't have so many injuries. If you stay connected, and rather than, if I'm reaching for a cupboard door and maybe it's really stiff and you've got a bad neck as it is, and it doesn't open and suddenly it gives way, you know, kind of typical stupid injuries we get when you're sort of 40 and above, you know.
Absolutely. But
if you're connected, and rather than pulling up and stretching my arm, now my arm is disconnected from my body. There's no, I've lost the connection. But I go like an inyo, and I go within, I can only go so far. If I go too far, I lose it. You know, like if you're pushing someone, you're like, stretch too far, I'm not in the best position. So then I go up to the cupboard, and it's my body that's pulling, and if it suddenly gives way, boom, it goes into my body. There's none of this, because I'm just pulling back. And it doesn't go in the neck or anything. And you know, you can deal with a really heavy, well, I really have to give it some, and it's my back and my legs that are pulling away from it. And you can always unbow or whatever you have to do. But, so one is taking away the slack in your body when you do things. And so when you're with a partner, when you're lucky enough to train with a partner, you know, you obviously are getting used to taking the slack away in your own body. But the minute you have a connection with someone, you know, you try and go even more into them. And you can always pull away a bit, so that they don't feel that you just sort of, you know, you've taken their slack away, but they don't know that they haven't felt or realized that that's what you've done. And now anything that they try and do something, you can either go against it or go in your row with it. But this taking away the slack is major, beyond the power thing, and that release, that everything releases at once. This is what some of the things that are very special about it. Mm-hmm. And for you, particularly in terms of jiu-jitsu, one of what I could see that Dan Harden was doing, and he described it as so afterwards. For example, when he was ending up on top, and sort of top mount or whatever thing, what he does is he's totally in his body, and very similar. He doesn't mind what the person is trying to, he let them do arm bars, whatever they want to do, he gives them his arm. And at any time he likes, he can change, you know, he can pull it back, but he's not pulling it back like this. It's just connected. And he can change the consistency from sort of feeling like just heavy rubber to suddenly there's this fascia in it. It feels like it's become a metal, you know, and he can dig his elbow into you on the way out. Oh, sorry, mate. Oh, I didn't need that. He's doing all kinds of you know, you're feeling really miserable on the bottom. It looks like he's doing nothing, but the guy on the bottom can't wait till it's over, because there's this constant shift of weight. He's doing the rowing, and he's dropping all of his weight on one, you know, on his elbow, or when you try and do an arm bar, he'll just let you have everything. Oh, you want my arm? Okay, have it. It's too much, you know. And people describe Dan Harden, for example, as it's like being in a meat grinder. And people always, you know, because you're taking away the slack, people tap long before he never gets a chance to do an arm bar. He's got about here. There's no slack. There's nothing to give. So he doesn't even need to get into an arm bar, you know. And his understanding of how to make himself heavy on the ground.
Yeah.
So one is he's totally connected. He's never letting his arms, you know, just the same principle as we said with the cupboard. His arms aren't doing it. It's his body that's moving, and that's making his arms, you know, he's unbowing and bowing and opening his quads, but they're staying within this, you know, and he's very happy for you just to have them, you know. And one of his main tricks is really coming from the sword. He never deals with a confrontation. Whatever you're trying to do to him, he goes in at degree angles. So he's not really bothered what you're trying to do. He just lets you have it here, does something, gets out of that, and you know, he can do that all day long until he decides to be aggressive and want to do something in turn. So it's those kind of principles he really uses in jiu-jitsu. And he's, you know, he would say he's a swordsman, but he's, you know, he's a golden gloves boxer. It's very worthwhile when you can to go in a seminar with him. I think you'd really enjoy it, because you'd have a chance to, you know, you can ask him questions. Don't ask to be the one he's practicing the jiu-jitsu on. Get him to use someone else. But.
Yeah, I've heard that. No, I'll buy out of that one. But yeah, I think, as I say, in my rudimentary stages at the minute, I've noticed that being able to use the bows very much helps when you're on the bottom. Very much helps when you're to make more space. And we're always working in angles anyway. But that agrees. I remember you spoke to me before about that, and that really helped in a few things, because sometimes you're making an angle more than you should, or slightly less than you should, but that seems to be a sweet spot there, and I've worked on that. And I think another thing that I got out of the rowing, you mentioned store to store, where you're actually keeping your energy within your own kind of body, rather than, you know, in jiu-jitsu, a big thing is don't give the other person anything to use against you. Whereas this store to store really gives you control over your own body.
Yes.
It doesn't give them the chance to take advantage of you being off balance or off base or things like that. So that was another, just sometimes wee things that I hear, just click a wee bell, and I run with those sort of things. But I say when the daily exercises are really a big help in wiring this into your body, you know, helping to wire it at a very, very rough stage at the minute, but still you can feel it wiring into your body. And, you know, kind of stuff that you wish you'd learned, or wish I'd have known about 20, 25 years ago.
Me too. You know, I can only, you know, as a testimony for the time I've done it for, which is, this specifically is sort of, I don't know, what's it going, 7-8 years or so with this type, you know, I've been doing Aikido for 30 odd years, but, you know, and still feel at a very low level in I can't use it the way I think Dan Harden may be the only man in the world that can actually fully utilize this knowledge in a completely, you know, full-on body and full-on speed, full-on power. I mean, it's impressive. He's like one of these, you know, like Oshibo or somebody. You know, he's one of these even his sensei was even upset with him in Japan. It's like, why isn't the other guys can't get this? You're the only one that's got this. You're getting it better than I've got it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he would just diligently work at it. He's just one of those guys, you know. He's an amazing carpenter. He's a makes swords. He's just one of those real competent, dedicated people with this. I was going to say about the bows, because this is again it's really helped with the Aikido, because when whatever you meet, you know, in Aikido, what we say, whatever touches doesn't move. So even if you're just in grappling, you're trying to get past the arm or make some space, you know, this has now touched the arm here maybe, and you then, by unbowing, you kind of go over it and past it, and you can be opening and closing your kwa at the same time, and depending on how you're positioning, you can move parts of your body so it's not coming from just the opening. And it really does go through everything. I mean, just we do a lot of drills where someone's, you know, they're coming like that, and we're coming to the outside of the block, but it's so many years you're always blocking on the inside of whatever's coming. But with Dan Harden, it's more on the outside. But you just sort of, whatever you catch, you just sort of, because you're doing different things. You see, in the rowing, I might be unbowing from the back leg, but going down in my kwa and then opening the kwa. You're doing different things, and I'm creating a spiral, and I'm turning the body this way. So so many things going on in the body that you've connected with, and you can. I'm sure that all of that can be used in jiu-jitsu. Even if you just pop, when your body's totally connected, and let's say for a second you're still, and you look, okay, I'm getting mark, here we go, and then suddenly, boom, you just, you know, you've made the connection, but you haven't put anything into it. You're just getting set up. You need to make that space to move the arm down for you to get to the neck, and whatever you're going to do, whatever you want, you know. And it suddenly happens so fast. It's your whole body, just, and you know what you're doing, what your effect you're looking for, and so I'm sure there's ways to incorporate it with jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, just even here and there, you know, you get wee light bulbs, but I mean, as I remember at a Hickson Gracie seminar, I'm saying there's only so many ways to move the body, but I think what this kind of training does is show you the proper ways to move your body, rather than just willy-nilly throwing an arm out here, throwing a leg out here. It coordinates your body, but actually it helps you move your body in ways that are very, very combat oriented, but everyday life oriented as well. I don't think it's just combat, but I think it's a way to maximize the use of your body, which can only help in jiu-jitsu, but in everyday life, opening jars as well. I'm definitely going to be using that.
And anything like the tools, you know, anything, you just always think that it's this is just let your big muscles do the work. This is the whole, you know, one of the major points of this form of exercise is that we use our major muscles for the power, and these are just directors. So it's like just, oh, fingers on here, let the back muscle do it. And it's just how much you need to hold on for grip so it's not slipping. I mean, I hadn't even gone into my fingers. I was just, because with Aikido, you learn to keep, you know, your hands pretty soft, and this really allows you, because you're in your, this is an important one for you, Mark. Elbow power. This is really what's going on. You know, even if you imagine whether you're on top or whether even it's standing, but if you've been able to put your elbow into someone's chest, then it's all of your, if you're just rowing forward, all of your weight, you know, so rather than just feeling, oh, or just you trying to make some space with your uncomfortable elbow, you then row forward with your hara, and project into the elbow, you know. I mean, it will feel like a rhino's just, oh, Jesus, fuck off, Mark. What do you do that for? You know, but you really be able to move people. And then with the Aiki part is that you're going up and up. You're not coming straight. It can be going up, and I'm going down. So they get lifted up and then down. So it's very difficult for them to even. So you can use all this sort of, but this elbow power is very important. So the other way to think of the arms is you're connected. You've pulled into the elbows. You keep this connection with your Mingmen, and you don't go out of that so much. You know, it's like in any normal martial, you don't extend. Yeah. And then, but really pulling into the elbows. That's where the metal is, and then it's soft from up here and can turn to metal anytime it needs to.
Yeah.
So the power is here, but this is all soft. So nearly, if there's a video with the police, just, oh, look, my hands, I'm just shaking his hand. I'm not doing anything. But he's not feeling what's going on below that.